Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
Yesterday on The View, something amazing happened, something beautiful, something exquisite, something that I just have to share with you. Take a look at a segment they did talking about Matt Gaetz, the potential attorney general in the Trump administration, and Sunny Hostin's accusations that she repeated on the air about, well, apparently an investigation into Matt Gaetz's personal life. Watch.
How could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old? My understanding further on in the interview, they discussed the fact that once he finds out that she's 17, he stops having sex with her.
Okay, Sunny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
We'll be right back.
I think my favorite part is the "we'll be right back." But my God, that was a beautiful thing to behold. Can we just, the only problem with it is because of Colin Rugg, who put that side-by-side edit together. We can't really appreciate the exquisite nature of Sunny Hostin's expression and how she has an uncanny resemblance to somebody in a hostage video. It's as if just outside the frame are the members of ISIS with the AK-47s pointed at her head as she reads the prepared statement that she's compelled to read. But let's watch it again so we can really see the fear and terror in her eyes.
Sunny, you have a legal note.
I do have a legal note. Thank you, Whoopi. Matt Gaetz has long denied all allegations, calling the claims, quote, invented, and saying in a statement to ABC News that this false smear following a 3-year criminal investigation should be viewed with great skepticism. That DOJ investigation was closed with no charges being brought.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back. Maybe my favorite part of that entire thing. We'll be right back. Indeed, you will, but not for long, guys. Not for long. Is that not great? So I love that especially the split screen that Colin Rugg on X, you should follow him. He does some great stuff and find some great videos. I love what the split screen shows us because first it shows us Sunny Hostin completely unhinged, screaming these unfounded allegations, slander, and defamatory statements about a sitting congressman and a man who is in line to be the Attorney General of the United States. And then when she has to read her legal disclaimer, it's almost as if The View said, okay, we're all done. Now, Sunny, could you please, now that you're done expressing your opinion, could you just read these facts for everybody? We're done with your opinion, Sunny. Now share the facts. He says, funny. What we do here, because we're an opinion show, we deliver our opinion. We start with facts. We let you see what they said. We let you see what's happening. We tell you the facts that are going in. And then afterwards, we say, okay, now based on those facts, here's my opinion about things. They do the opposite there on The View. Let's yell and scream about our opinion and unfounded allegations and rumors that are out there and stuff that's being whispered behind closed doors. And then so we don't get our asses sued, we're going to then deliver this statement and give you facts. And the fact is that none of these things have ever led to anything. It's all unfounded allegations. Think about it for a second. Joe Biden, Merrick Garland, Christopher Wray, that Justice Department investigated Matt Gaetz, and they didn't find the witnesses credible enough to bring charges. Forget about winning a case. Does anyone out there think that they wouldn't have brought charges against Matt Gaetz if they could have? Seriously, anyone? Is there anyone out there, considering how low the threshold is for them to use the Justice Department for political purposes? If they didn't think they had evidence against Matt Gaetz, maybe he's a bad guy. Maybe he's done all these things. Unlike Sunny Hostin, I don't know. What I do know is that Merrick Garland's Justice Department has never shrunk in the past from bringing charges against somebody for, praying a rosary in front of an abortion mill. They never had a second thought about a 6 a.m. raid of a former president's home to dig through the former first lady's underwear drawer. But suddenly with Matt Gaetz and these allegations, they become circumspect. There's a lot of smoke there, but we better not. No, if there was the tiniest bit of smoke, there would have been an arrest made. You know that. Everyone knows it. So then Sunny Hostin decides, okay, well, we better go to commercial break by delivering 30 seconds of facts for everybody, just so we don't get sued. But Sunny Hostin this morning was not done with her latest agenda, her jihad, as it were. Every single day she tries to up her game even more in hating this country and in casting aspersions against everyone who voted in a way that Sunny Hostin didn't demand they vote. I think she's auditioning for a primetime job at MSNBC. Somebody should tell her that MSNBC is about to go down in flames. But I guess that's what she's aiming for. Take a look at the latest.
But, you know, Trump, it seems to me, with all of his choices, it seems to me like he really is in the burning down mode. Let's just destroy all these organizations and then start over again. Something like that's going on in his little brain.
I agree with that. You know, I was reading an op-ed by Ezra Klein for the New York Times, and he said this. He said, you know, in agencies, they are trying to run these people are inexperienced, they're ridiculous, they're incompetent, they won't get anything done, they might even fail to win confirmation. In other countries and at other times, when would-be authoritarians try to consolidate their power, they do so by placing fools and jesters into positions of extraordinary power. And he goes on to say the absurdity is a cloak. It's a way of covering up the fact that they are underestimated is a feature. The loyalty that they have to the strong man is really the thing. And so he is hiring appointing all of these people that are woefully inadequate, woefully mediocre, cannot do this job because he wants to consolidate power as a fascist does. And we need to be very clear-eyed about, and not so much joke about these types of appointments, because he is doing this intentionally right in front of our faces.
All right. Thank you, Newsbusters, for that clip. Yeah, we have to be clear-eyed because fascists do things like this, and clearly he's a fascist. They're back to the fascist thing again, guys. We shouldn't joke about it. I promise you, Sunny, nobody's laughing at what you're saying. I mean, we're laughing at you as a human being for saying the things that you're saying, but we're not actually laughing at, and nothing you're saying is funny, actually. It's not the kind of laughter that you're hearing. It's mockery. That's what we're doing. We're mocking you because you're right back where you were, and she continues to double down and triple down. It's like the lost soldiers of the Japanese Imperial Army during World War II who were hiding out in caves in the Philippines or Guadalcanal or Midway, waiting for the end of the war. And 10 years later, they were discovered, and they still thought the war was on, and they kept fighting the war. And no, the war's over, Sonny. You lost. You lost the war. And by the way, part of the reason you lost the war is because you kept calling the American people fascists for wanting to vote a different way. And I assure you, this instinct that you have, or that Ezra Klein might have in the New York Times, that Donald Trump is appointing people to upend and turn inside out these entrenched institutions in the United States federal government, that instinct you have in observing what it appears to be, is 100% correct. Do you know how I know Donald Trump is appointing people with the sole reason of taking these entrenched, ingrained, calcified institutions in Washington, D.C. and turning them inside out so that they can be diminished in power over the American people and they cannot harm the American people, and instead reshape these entities and these departments and these institutions so that they once again serve the American people instead of inflict harm on us? Do you know how I know that's what he's doing? It's because I paid attention in this election, and I recognize that that's what he said he was going to do. And that's why he won. But there's more from our friend Sunny. She turned to the Department of Education.
And what happens with vouchers, The studies show very clearly that they fund students who are already attending private schools. So people with money get those vouchers, use the vouchers to pay less for their private schools, and their kids go on to do well. Where do you get the money from vouchers? You pull those money from those poor schools, those poor
I
schools.
don't
And
see it.
let me just finish this. So wealthy families are overwhelmingly the recipients of school voucher tax credits. I'm not making this up. This has been studied.
Who's
In
that cited?
2020,
Who's this?
a 2020 study found that only about half of states with voucher programs require teachers to have a bachelor's degree, require teachers to have training, require teachers to have
So that's just
licensing,
not my
require
experience.
participating
So the
private schools.
If I may get in, just to make it a
Wait,
conversation.
but because I have children and because
that
I
what
looked
this
at
is?
looked at the
I
private
went
schools,
to public school. I believe you had to go to
there is-
private
There is
schools.
zero statistical
You got to go to
significance.
private
Okay,
schools.
because nobody can figure out what's
One
being
last
said here
One last
right
point.
now. No, there is no last thing right now. We're going to go to break,
Well, we gotta make
and
it-
then we're gonna come back.
Yes.
Because you can't, what's happening is no one can hear anything anyone is
People
saying.
have to
So
put a
everybody has
period on it
yes,
so we can talk.
well,
Well, that
you know,
goes for you too, my dear.
that
I haven't
that's
gotten a word, and she's been talking
We'll
for
be
3
right back.
minutes. Let's go to the first.
I do love it when they fight. And this is, of course, coming from the approved conservative voice, the one who hates Trump, voted for Kamala Harris. But she dares to step up and say, I don't think what you're saying there about vouchers is right. And she was shut down, not just by Sunny Hostin, who filibustered and continued reading. They're always reading. Why do they have to read all the time? It's so funny how I can go without a script, but they can't. But I don't know. Maybe it's my curse for not getting a big salary like the ladies on The View. Whoopi Goldberg then jumps in and says we got to go to commercial because Lord knows all the viewers they've got want to hear about whatever toilet paper they're selling during the break. And Alyssa Farah is right. It's not fair because she knows the people turn the channel during a commercial break. So the last thing they'll hear is what Sunny Hostin said. And now when we come back, Alyssa Farah will be able to say something. But before she does, I just want to interject quickly about this old trope about vouchers. The idea, where does the money for the vouchers come from? You're going to take away from the public schools. Here's what a voucher does. Here's what school choice does. School choice allows the parent to decide which school to put their kid in, either the government-run school or a private school. And if they choose the private school, then they get a voucher worth most of the tax dollars that would normally have gone for that student to go to the public school. And instead, that voucher is used to help offset the cost of the tuition in the private school. That, in a nutshell, is what school choice is. So when Sunny Hostin says, well, that means the money is going to come out of the public schools and go to the private schools, Sunny Hostin is conceding the point that the government schools can't compete. She's conceding the point that if given the choice, parents will leave those schools and go to better schools, right? So maybe she should go back a step or two and say, hold on a minute. If I'm just assuming that the parents are going to flee the second they have the opportunity where price is not an issue for them and they can now offset the cost of that tuition by getting this voucher for the money that would have been spent on them in the government schools and instead apply it to a private school, parents will take that opportunity so that the kids will have a better chance in the private schools. Why doesn't she instead say, oh, well, we're fine with this competition because the government schools are so damn good that no one's going to want to leave? But see, she can't say that, because she knows that's not the truth. And instead of trying to fix those schools, all she's trying to do is protect the failed institution that those schools have become. And so by making that argument, she has conceded the fact that school choice is necessary. Now, I'd love to see Alyssa Farah make that point. Not sure she will.
welcome back. Welcome back. We're all here at the table
Yes.
and we're having a conversation
Yes.
and we're going to go back to it. But before we do, I just want to say this is the beauty of people who have different opinions. Sometimes it's messy. Sometimes we're messy. And I don't know if you noticed that when I came out this morning, I had trouble trying to figure out because there was nothing in the thing.
In the
There's
process.
something in the air. So
Yeah.
just know something is
Mercury's
chewing
in
on us.
retrograde.
Yeah, that's Whoopi Goldberg trying to explain away the fact that they all had a little spat. Yeah, let me just say something. If you're doing a panel show where people have different opinions, where, again, I just want to assure you, no one is allowed at that table unless they openly profess their hatred of Donald Trump and who promise to vote for whoever the Democrat nominee is if Donald Trump is running. So there was a time when this show actually did have different viewpoints and perspectives and views. See, the reason they call it the view is because they all have the same view. So the fact that even on something this little nuanced, some policy thing that Sunny Hostin and the rest of the 800-pound gorillas at that table can't abide anybody straying off the reservation with a differing opinion, and it becomes a big explosion where they have to go to commercial break, and then Whoopi Goldberg comes back and has to explain it all away. Let me tell you something. If you're hosting a panel show where people are supposed to have different opinions, and you have to explain to your audience that everything's fine, we still like each other, it's okay to disagree, you've already sort of lost the point. You've already lost the point. But this is how bad they've become. All right, so let's see if Alyssa Farah ever gets to get a word in. The answer is no, by the way.
Personally worked on the DC Opportunity Scholarship Program when I was working in Congress. In that program alone, which is a charter school system, it experienced a 21% increase in graduation rates. There are conflicting statistics, but according to Morning Consult, the majority of Americans support health savings account, vouchers, and the taxpayer money following the students. It is my belief, as somebody who grew up in the public school system, believes in it, and was grateful to be in a really good school district. If you're in a school that's falling behind and your parent wants to give you the opportunity to get a leg up, your tax dollars should follow you.
Question,
But
but you're
it
a charter
harms-
school charter person. And this is part I don't understand. Doesn't it come down to less the result and more the choice of isn't the fight for the parents to say they choose it? Is that what most people are
No.
supporting?
It's simply that a parent should be able to make the best choice for their student. But I also think that there are schools that are falling behind. It doesn't mean they don't deserve education, but I don't think students should be victims of a falling behind school. Their life is at stake in it, their future, their earning potential.
But see, you went to a good school.
Let Whoopi talk.
I wasn't in a good
Let
school
Whoopi
district.
talk.
That's the inequity.
But where did you go to school?
In the South, I had
Just
to start
jump in,
school in
Whoopi.
the South Bronx projects. That's
But then
not.
didn't you get to go to a private school?
Here's
Yes,
what's
and look at
interesting.
how
Yeah. They really can't have a debate on that show. They're not geared for it. They're not used to it. In fact, the fact that they haven't had a debate on that program for the last 2 years shows you that they're completely incapable of doing so. They don't know how to have a debate. So stop telling me that this is a debate show or something. They want to monopolize the conversation. That said, can we finish up here where we started? Because yesterday on The View, as I mentioned, this is how Sunny Hostin defamed Matt Gaetz and then had to walk it back with a legal disclaimer that looked like a hostage video. But let's remind you what she said.
How could you nominate someone with allegations of child trafficking trafficking across state lines and having sex with a 17-year-old? My understanding further on in the interview, they discussed the fact that once he finds out that she's 17, he stops having sex with her.
My understanding, yeah, it sounds like an informed opinion. That's what's been floating around all Washington, D.C. and New York and late night TV shows and cable news shows. And only a few people have actually been bold enough to say what Sunny Hostin said without possible threat of retribution via lawsuit and defamation suit. Here's what's weird about all of that. Today's New York Post editorial column from the editorial board of the New York Post is begging Donald Trump to withdraw the names of Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard. I don't quite get it. You know, Donald Trump in this last election not only did something that a Republican president has not done in decades in winning the election and winning the popular vote and growing the base of the Republican Party, he also took the Senate from a 51-49 minority position to a 53-47 majority position. So by running the race that he ran and winning in the way that he did and handing a majority to the United States Senate, now poised to confirm his nominees, why on earth should he not get the cabinet that he wants? Listen, you might not like Matt Gaetz or Tulsi Gabbard, but both of these people have been the victims of rumors and unfounded allegations. And do we really want to reward that kind of politics of personal destruction? Again, I don't know the truth about Matt Gaetz. It's none of my business, frankly, because everything involved with the allegations against him are gossip and rumor and didn't rise to the level of Merrick Garland's Justice Department and Christopher Wray's FBI bringing charges. And Tulsi Gabbard, well, frankly, I mean, I'm no fan of her left-wing politics, but Donald Trump ran with the idea that there would be liberals in his cabinet, and he's given positions to Gabbard as well as Robert F. Kennedy Jr., but given them positions that, you know, their liberal politics won't really have a major effect on. Yes, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is pro-choice, but at the same time, abortion is no longer a federal issue at this point. It's a state issue. So his opinions on abortion aren't really going to affect his job. And by the way, being part of a big tent party, I'm okay with that. Try that with the Democrats. Tulsi Gabbard is currently serving on active duty as a lieutenant colonel in the United States Army. And you've got people in this town saying that she's an asset of the Russian government. Yeah, something tells me that as an officer in the military, when you have to have at least secret, if not top secret clearance, something tells me if that were true, she wouldn't be an active duty officer in the United States Army. But it's not stopping people from saying it about her. So I don't know what's going on with the New York Post editorial board, but it seems to me that if Donald Trump wants these people in this position, he has every right to have them. And the lies and the defamation and the slander and the rumors and the gossip not only has to stop, but it shouldn't be rewarded. Because if he ends up pulling these nominees because of it, it only means that they're going to double down on lies and gossip and rumor and innuendo the next time. And this is what change is supposed to look like. So I hope the president continues his support for his cabinet, and we'll let the senators decide. Isn't that sort of how it's supposed to be? I think it is. I've been holding my breath until Election Day, right? It was a roller coaster, but we finally got that result. And now, well, we can exhale. Work can finally be done on the major issues this country is facing. One of the most significant is our national debt. The fact is, our country is broke. Our government is broke. And the debt is a house of cards, and it can't be easily dismantled. The strategy remains the same for your own personal finances. Diversify your savings. So many things are out of our control, even out of the president's control. It's important to have a safe haven for your savings. Birch Gold Group is going to help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold. And the best news is it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. What you need to do is text my name, Larry, L-A-R-R-Y, to 989898. Get a free info kit on gold. And right now, through Black Friday, you'll receive a free 1-ounce Silver Eagle for every $5,000 purchased through Birch Gold. I want you to diversify your savings with Birch Gold. Get the information from them. Text Larry to 989898 and claim your eligibility for free silver today.